Hello and welcome to the Breakout podcast. My name is Damon Nichols, and this is the podcast where we interview extremely successful people that have gone through some hardships, gone through some adversity, and came out on the other side to find themselves successful. They've dealt with addiction, they've dealt with uh, trauma, childhood trauma, just a whole bunch of stuff to be able to share their story on the other side. And today I have a special guest. I had the honor to meet him in New Jersey last year at an event, and it was kind of amazing how we hooked up. But this guy is he's he's doing it, man. He's killing it in every way. His name is Wesley Morris, and I welcome you, brother.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. And I'm glad to be here. And, it really is amazing how we both were at a networking event in states that were not our home states.
Right?
I walked into the barn and I immediately walked over to you and your lady and the people that you were with. And I was just instantly attracted to that area of the room. Now, mind you, there's 100 people in the room.
Yeah.
And I immediately went to there. And
Yeah.
and that is truly divine, my friend.
Yes, it is. It is because I think we were the I don't know, maybe the black sheep of the whole bunch. It appeared that way because I don't know. I felt the imposter syndrome as I was there, and I know that there was a lot of people there and some celebrities and some really high powerful players in a field that you know um, just with different types of people that I've not really had in my life up until recently. So
And I feel that often, Damon, that imposter syndrome. And I know that that's a result of my past and not feeling like I'm enough.
right,
Um, but also what comes with that is I know who I am
yes, yes,
and I attract to others who know who they are, people that have been through the fire and have found a way out.
yeah,
So that's what I call that.
yes. I've dealt with it too. It's not so much anymore because I'm starting to find my place, and I'm starting to realize all of the work that I've done on myself to get to where I'm at, and I can see the results of it and how I'm able to now give back. Because I
Yeah.
know there was a point in my life where I couldn't help myself, much less try to help others. And now I'm on the other side where like I'm helping a lot of people. I'm helping my community, and
Yeah.
that's my mission now, is to try to give back what I've learned and what I've gone through. But so
I always say that success is when I try to change my own life, but significance is when I try to change others. And
yeah,
once you live a life of significance, success will never taste the same, man.
right, right, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I'd like to talk a little bit about your story. You've gone through some stuff too, and over the last year we've had a lot of conversations, and I think at one point we tried to do this once before and it didn't work out. So I would really like to dive in, and a couple of the things that I would really like to touch on is how you overcame those problems in your life, the addiction. What were some of the things, some of the key things that helped you overcome that, and what are you doing now to keep your sobriety and maintain that? But so I think that's kind of important. I hear that a lot from people. So we'll go ahead and get into your story, and we'll talk a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I was supposed to be a farm boy. And I know that you and I both share that upbringing. And I come from an area of Pennsylvania, deep in the hills of Pennsylvania, where work ethic is more important than actual intelligence, meaning how much you could work in a 24-hour period is more important than what you brought home on your report card.
Right.
Um, that's the area that I come from. Very integrous, hardworking, honest people that I adore to this day. Good, hardworking people. And at an early age, my grandfather was one of the greatest horse trainers that I have ever met. At 6 years old, he takes me out to the barn, Damon, and He says, come on, Wesley. And there's a young colt running around the corral, and he takes a handful of corn and he pulls it out of his pocket and he goes, and he gets that young horse to come eat right out of his hand. And he looks at me at 6 years old, Damon, and he says, Wesley, all relationships are built at the speed of trust. All relationships move at the speed of trust. So those are some of the lessons and principles that I learned growing up on the farm, that I still carry to this day. And I thought I had a normal life till at 12 years old. I come home from wrestling practice and the state police detectives have my whole house surrounded. And I'm standing on the sidewalk. I'm scared. I'm confused. I don't know what's going on. And I see my hero, my heart, my everything get carried out in handcuffs. And that's the day I found out that my mother was running a prostitution ring out of her massage parlor. And I was crushed, bro. Went to school and all the kids made fun of me at 12 years old. And nobody helped me process that event. So I was left up to my own thinking to develop the meaning about what that was. And the meaning that I came up with was, I'm the bad kid. My mom, is living a lie. And I'm going to live up to what I believe is true. So I went down a dark path. First DUI, 15 years old. 16 years old, my sister turned our house into a crack house. People having sex in my bed, smoking crack in the kitchen, shooting dope in the bedroom. It was chaotic. And one day, I'm looking for my sister. I can't find her. And I knock on the bathroom door. No response. So I kick open the door. Boom! There's my sister dead on the floor. She was blue in the face. She was unresponsive. She was overdosed on fentanyl. I gave her CPR resuscitation and I brought her back to life that day. 1 minute difference. We'd be going to a funeral rather than a graduation. 1 minute. That's how precious life is, bro.
Yeah.
By the time I was 19 years old, I had 3 DUIs and 7 underage drinking charges. The state of Pennsylvania took my license away for 22 years.
Wow. That's a long time. Long time to go without driving.
And when you're faced with 22 years without your license, you want to give up.
Yeah.
What's the point? I'm never going to be successful. I'm never going to be a productive member of society. It's just too hard. Why should I even try? So I moved to Philadelphia running from me. And we try that. We try to change all the outside circumstances. And let me tell you, you can never fix a spiritual void with a physical thing. I don't care how big it is.
Yeah.
You can never fix a spiritual void with a physical thing. And I tried. So I moved to Philadelphia, changing geographical locations only to take me with me. And I end up being a homeless heroin addict in North Philadelphia, in the Kensington section of North Philadelphia. Google it. Selling bottles of water in the middle of the street for $1 a piece. I was 50 pounds less than I am right now. I was malnourished. I was dehydrated. I would stand in between abandoned houses in a line waiting for the drugs in front of people with one leg who had lost their legs to addiction. And one day, I defecated on the public sidewalk in front of public. I'm talking about animalistic level, bro. And I couldn't see it then, but I could see it now, bro. How all my decisions throughout my entire life led me to that point right there. Your life is a sum total of all the decisions that you make, the people that you surround yourself with, and the influences that you allow to penetrate your conscious awareness. And one day I dropped to my knees, man, and I prayed like I've never prayed before in my life. And it was the most humble prayer, and it was, please, God, help me, bro. Over and over and over again. See, we have the ability to change. Human beings have the ability to change. My dog cannot be anything but a dog. Human beings have the ability to choose whatever it is that they desire in life. So your life is literally one decision away from a completely different result.
Yes. And that's what so many people don't even understand is you have the choice. You have the
Yes.
choice. It may be a hard choice. It may be something that comes with some consequences that you don't want to deal with, but the choice is yours. And
Yep.
sometimes you get to a point where you got to weigh the consequences. What is this costing me versus the option, and sometimes having to go through something to get on the other side is huge.
And look, I always say, like, when you're a little kid on the monkey bars, you can't go to the next one until you let go of the one you're on. And so many times we're holding on to our shitty situation, even though look, my life was literally the worst. It was the worst. But in my sick thinking, I was comfortable in my terrible situation. And the fear of letting go of that, it was, it was decapitating. It held me.
Yeah.
And
Well, a lot of times that there's a reward that comes with that. We carry that around. We may be miserable, but there's a reward. There's something there. And when we
yeah,
get rid of that, we get rid of that reward. It could be pity. It could be somebody looking at you like, you know, whatever. There's a reward I've found that comes with all of it. I see people sickness, people that have health issues. They start to get better, and then
yeah,
they sabotage because there's a reward that comes with it.
yeah. Right now, I'm fighting. I'm battling with sugar addiction. Right? Those chocolate chip cookies, man. They call me, bro. I'm dead serious. Like, yeah, haha. It's funny. No, it's bro. It gets you. And at 40 years old, man, it goes right to my midsection, bro. And the inflammation, it's terrible. But in my sick thinking, there's a reward. Oh, it tastes good. There's a hit of dopamine that comes with that.
Yeah. So when you dropped down on your knees and you decided to ask God to intervene in your life and make those changes, was that the turning point? Did that was that a point where you severed your old life and went on from there, or was there more?
The turning point was my mother, my heart, my everything, walking in on me about to stick a needle in my arm. And the pain in her eyes was more than I could handle.
Shame.
Yeah.
So you were
And
driven by
I
shame at
just,
that point, huh?
I couldn't live that. I couldn't live like that anymore, bro.
Yeah,
Pain, pain is a motivating factor, bro.
yeah. Pain is very motivating. Shame,
Yeah.
guilt, pain, they're very motivating factors. So what
Yeah.
did you do to start taking those steps to become a different human being? Because you're a completely different person than you were back then.
Success has a 4-letter password. And I think that it gets missed a lot. And the 4-letter password is HELP. I need help. I need help. Um, the ego will keep us from getting that help, whatever that is, you know. And I asked for help. I surrendered.
Yeah. The ego has a real weird way of showing up in so many different ways, and we don't even recognize it as ego.
Yeah.
But it keeps you from asking for help. It keeps you from, doing the things that are going to help you become successful.
Yeah. That pride, man, that pride is it's detrimental.
It's funny how so much shame and so much pride can exist in the same body.
I know. I know.
You need that help so bad, but you're afraid to ask for it, even though you know you're at your bottom.
Unbelievable.
Yes,
Yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
how the human brain works. Huh?
I suffer with a big ego and a low self-esteem. Very contradictory.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like I said, ego comes in, it shows itself in so many different forms, and we don't even stop to realize, but we start peeling back the layers and realize that, well, there's ego, and it could be ego that is involved with identity of a person that was abandoned. Like you carry even an ego that comes around that, so you take that with you. You gave an analogy a few minutes ago that's similar to kind of the way I look at things, is where as a child things happen to you and you put on some armor to go into a battle. You don't
Right.
even know the battle that you're going into. You don't even realize that you're going into battle because you're a child. But you put on this armor, you build this wall, and you put up this protection. And then life goes on. You continue to wear that armor, and then the next battle comes along, and then the next battle comes along, and pretty soon you're carrying all this armor. You've packed all this armor on, and you can't even carry it around anymore, and it doesn't suit you anymore because the armor that you put on for one battle is no longer useful in another battle, but you continue to drag it from battle to battle.
Yeah.
Do you realize that, hey, I don't need this anymore? This doesn't, this might have suited me at this point. Now I want to work on this. This no longer suits me anymore. I'm going to drop that armor.
No longer serves me. Yep.
Yeah. And so it's hard to start finding those things that no longer serve. And it's hard and that comes down to just actually looking deep inside yourself and starting to do the work, taking that inventory.
The what we're talking about is deep internal work, and it's so good. It's so good for success and creating the life that we desire. And what you're talking about are character defects, right? That anger, that jealousy, that envy, lust, dishonesty, manipulation. These are all things that at one point in time were my defense mechanisms, right? They help me to protect that little boy that you're talking about inside so he doesn't get hurt again. And to your point, at some point they no longer serve me because they cause harm to myself and to other people. And I wasn't even aware that I was practicing character defects until I did the deep internal work. And the only thing that you can replace them with is spiritual principles of love and compassion and commitment and dedication. And yeah, it's deep stuff, man. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Well, so many times in life, we things happen to us. We may have a tragic event, a car accident, or a loved one die, or something, and that's very traumatic. Well, we tend to we focus on that, and then we go from that point on in life, and then the next big event happens, and then we focus on whatever grieving process, or having to go through that, and we've never gone back. Like that's the thing, is we never go back. We just start where the next thing happens, and we try to go from there till the next thing happens. And then we go from there, and we put our focus to the next thing and the next thing. And you have to stop at some point and go, where did all of this start? Where did my low self-esteem, where did my lack of self-worth come from? Where did my abandonment come from? And when you start going back and peeling back those layers, then you work from the back up to the present. So many times we just work from the present and keep going into the future. So I think that's
And
very
and
powerful.
look, man, I want to congratulate you, bro, because I know that you've done a tremendous amount of work. I can feel it right now. Normal people they don't talk like this, Damon. So congratulations. I was having a conversation with somebody, you know, that deep internal work, man, it's not for the weak at heart.
No, no.
It takes courage and strength,
Yes, it does.
strength under stress.
Well, yeah, that's right. Well, and that's why I enjoy talking to you so much, because we're so relatable and it's not surface stuff. We get into these deep conversations and we can talk for an hour or two and really get into, you know, what makes us tick. What were the causes of our problems? But most people don't want to do that. I've been on several podcasts with people and they don't want to talk about that. They'll ask a question and then you start going down that road and then pretty soon they're off into something else. And so, yeah.
One of the biggest revelations that I've had in my life is, look, I carried around a resentment with my mother for 20 years. She didn't love me. How could you do this to me? Right? We can't change the past, but what we can do is we can change the meaning. And the meaning that I had to give that event in my life, that 12-year-old little boy, is that my mom was just doing the best as she knew how, bro.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that she was trying to provide for us.
Yep. I get it. I went through the same stuff with my mom. She left when I was 5 years old, but I know she had her demons she was battling with, and she did the best she could. I know she loved me even though she wasn't there, and I needed her. She wasn't there, and it left, it left a scar on me. But I also know that she was not mentally capable and emotionally capable of
Yeah.
being.
Yeah.
So once
Yep.
I came to those realizations in my life, because I did blame my mom a lot for a lot of years. Now I don't. I love my mom very much, and I know she did the very best she could. I don't. But that's also part of it, is getting out of that victim mindset and becoming, the person that's like, okay, I'm going to take accountability for my own self, and I'm going to realize what happened to me, and I'm gonna look back at that. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to heal from that. I'm going to work through that, and I'm no longer going to take that with me. And I'm going to realize that my parents, there's a generational cycle that goes even beyond my parents back into my
Yes.
grandparents. And now we're in an age where we know more information about the mind and the psychology behind all of it than we ever have. And my parents did, or their parents did. They just kind of continued to go through the same cycles of alcoholism and whatever type of abuse and neglect, abandonment, all of that stuff. And they didn't know. They didn't have what we have now. Now it's people like me and you that are like, what, I'm changing this. This is going to be a whole new direction for the rest of my life and the rest of my children's lives. So to break those cycles, because they're deep. They're deep sometimes, and it's probably 3 or 4 generations back in your life as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think just having the ability to recognize that is
Right.
you know
Yeah.
we don't know.
You know, my mentor, Paul Martinelli, one of the best, right? I know there's a lot of cats out here that are starting programs and coaching and all that. Paul is a purist. And when I say purist, we study we we study dead masters, people from the 1930s, 20s, 1850s, right? And he doesn't have me reading, uh just people that really dedicated their life to personal development. And Paul said the other day, he said, Wes, life is not happening to you, it's happening through you. Life is not happening to you, it's happening through you. Unbelievable, man. Just the mind, the light bulb that went off. And so many times, the ego gets in the way. And it's just happening through you.
Yeah,
So
and then it's also a reflection for everybody else to see how your life is happening and how it's happening through you for everybody else, all those people around you.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what what do you do now that helps you continue to grow and become a better version of yourself all the time? I've seen a lot of your stuff in the last year. You've done some big things. And what are you doing to keep your sobriety, to keep that um, that growth?
Well, a multitude of things. You know, there's a there's a question that changed my life, and the question is, can I begin to recover without a complete surrender? Right. And I came across that question 10 years ago. And the surrender in my life, not only did it happen 10 years ago, but it also happened this morning. So it's a daily surrender of, I don't know what to do. I need help. Please help me. Right. Um, I, I, human beings are habitual, right? So our habits define and create our lives. I meditate on a daily basis. I will not talk to you unless I meditate. And I meditate in that time window of the first 20 minutes that I'm awake. That is when my brain is stopping the production of melatonin and beginning the production of cortisol. That is when my subconscious mind is most susceptible to new information. So I've been doing this for about 8 years now, where I reprogram my mind from lack and limitation and not feeling enough to being successful and capable and completely living within my potential. Um, so I do that on a daily basis. I do something to move my spirit on a daily basis. I surround myself with people that believe in me, love me, and encourage me on a daily basis. I move my body and take care of my mind and my body on a daily basis. And I do that through exercise and as well as cold water submersion.
I see
So
that.
I submerge myself in 33-degree water.
I see
Um,
you do a lot of those. So yeah, that's
and
awesome.
look, the reason why is because every single time, Damon, it sucks. It's not fun. It's not easy, but it's me not negotiating with my mind.
Yeah,
When I say we're going in this 33-degree water for 3 minutes, we're going in.
right.
It's not up for discussion.
Yeah, I just had a conversation with my wife yesterday about non-negotiables and how we need to have those in our lives. We have to have those non-negotiables. For for me, it's going to the gym, working out, running. That's a non-negotiable. I have to take time for myself, for my physical body, because I believe that when your physical, as you build your physical body and you become more um, fit, it brings with it a sense of confidence, and I think it all goes hand in hand. But for me, that's a non-negotiable. So we have to have those non-negotiables in your life, and I suggest you find at least three non-negotiables. This is what I'm not, you know, this is the non-negotiable. I'm going to do this no matter what. I'm going to take time for this, and this is going to happen. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah. And going back to the farm, look, I was interviewing my great uncle, and they woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go milk cows. Didn't matter if it was raining, snowing, sleeting. It didn't matter if they were sick. They got up and they took care of their chores.
Yep,
It was non-negotiable. It wasn't up for discussion.
that's it. You live on a farm. You live non-negotiable life.
Yeah. Exactly.
Nothing, nothing is negotiable.
No, you got to feed your animals.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
yeah. They will not wait.
It's not up for discussion.
No, it's like an hourly thing. It's not, I'll do this tomorrow. It's like this has to be done several times a day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're married to it,
Yeah,
you know.
it's like drinking water or eating, like drinking water.
Yeah.
So
And it's autopilot, and it's entrenched in our subconscious mind. That's the power of the subconscious mind. 95% of the day we're operating on our subconscious mind, and that's what I had to do. The difference between the kid that was selling bottles in the water in the middle of the street and the man that's talking to today is I have reprogrammed my subconscious mind.
yeah,
It's our automatic responses. You don't think about blinking. You don't think about breathing. If you were consciously aware of your heart rate, you would go insane. It's our automatic responses to life and our neuroassociations to the events in our life. It's incredible. It's very, very powerful.
yes, it is very powerful. And your mind doesn't know the difference, you know, doesn't know the
No.
difference between, if you think about it, it's like you're doing it.
Yeah.
Do that with music. I play music, and there's times I go a while without playing, but I can sit there and I can actually think about it, and it's like I'm practicing because I'll go sit down and like, oh, I figured this out, and I didn't
That's exactly
practice.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the best examples is when you go to a movie. You go to, you're in a movie theater, you're going to see Jaws, and all of a sudden you hear, donna, 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 and all of a sudden, he pops out, right? Now you're clearly safe in a movie theater, but you had an emotional response to something that you saw.
Yep. Yeah. It produced fear, major fear,
Right,
and
right.
that's your body wanting to fight or flight,
Yep.
and there should be no reason other than your subconscious mind is working.
So once we understand this, we can use this to create whatever life we desire. And now during my meditations, I create images in my mind of me being this incredible speaker, or me living a life of abundance, or me walking into a room feeling like I'm enough. And the mind will go after what it sees most of the time. It just so happens that most people create images of lack and limitation or scarcity and limitate, and they wonder why it shows up in their life.
I see it so often with so many people. Most people, you get down to it, they don't really truly believe that they deserve that
Right.
that level of whatever. They may
Yep.
talk about it, they may go through all the motions, but really in their mind, they're like, I'm really not worth it. My value cap is right here, and they carry that around. And even for me, that was a big one for me. Because there was a point in my life I didn't have very much, so like that was all I knew. And like, am I worth this? I worked so hard for so many years for what I had. My value was on a dollar amount per hour, you know, and to say, okay, could I wake up tomorrow with, $100,000 in my bank? At one point it was like, oh, that's impossible. So I never thought like that. So, but as you grow and you start shedding those are all belief systems. What for me, like, I call those gatekeepers. We don't even know we have gatekeepers. We don't even know the gate's there
Yeah.
until somebody tells us, hey, there's a gate there. And these gatekeepers were put on us by our school system, by our parents, and you've carried around your belief system is really not your own. It's until you consciously start working on your own belief system. It's what society has put on you. It's what you grew up with, what your parents told you, what school told you, what religion told you, what
Yes.
what everything has told you. You've developed this belief system until you can really look at that and be like, okay, is this really what I believe, or is this what I've been shown to believe all my life? And when you look at that deep and say, you know what, I don't want to believe that anymore. Because so many things as I went through life, I believed just because I was taught that in society, but I didn't feel right with it. you know, and so I carried that with me, and sorry, I've got to turn this up. I carried that with me until I realized that, you know what, it doesn't sit well with me. So there's got to be something. If something doesn't sit well with you, even though most of the world believes it, or everybody around believes it, you know, you might really want to take a look at that, because there may be something there. If it doesn't sit well with you, or you don't feel right with it, then, you know, so many times we ignore our body cues. We ignore the feelings that we get. We just, you know what, oh, okay, well, everybody else isn't doing it, you know, so it must be something wrong, even though our body's telling us something different. I think we need to really start looking at that. And the more clear headed you get, the more focused you get, the more every bit of like neurotoxins you can cut out of your life that gives you clarity. And the more clarity you get when you start seeing and feeling those signs, you really need to take a look at them, because your body knows. God give you a perfect body that reacts to things, you know, and when you ignore it or go against it, you're going against what God has intended.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a big one. A lot of people, they don't even look at that, you know, they go along with the flow.
Yeah. You know, I have just, and still have to, constantly challenge those beliefs and go outside my comfort zone. That's the only place that growth happens,
Yeah.
is outside my comfort zone. And over time of constantly getting uncomfortable, I create a new belief about myself, my potential, and what I'm worth. You know, I recently just rode my bike 500 miles to South Carolina.
Yeah, I saw that. I followed you on your journey. It was amazing. And
500.
it's amazing the purpose behind that.
Right. Yeah.
That was, you know,
So I sat in that chair right there, and during one of my morning meditations, I had just walked away from a $500,000 a year business that I built while riding a bicycle. And my prayers were kind of like, well, what do you want me to do now? And one morning I get a vision, and God says, all right, you want to be one of the best in the world? All right. Show me you're willing to do whatever it takes. I want you to ride your bike to South Carolina to go speak to 200 kids that don't have father figures. Are you sure? And I was obedient, and I rode 9 days on a bicycle on the Blue Ridge Parkway to South Carolina to an organization called Fire Pit Ranch. And when I came home and I processed the event that had just taken place, God gave me another message. And I realized that bicycle that I rode was a metaphor for a successful and meaningful life. And what I mean by that is, the first thing you have is the handlebars. Those are our decisions. 1 degree to the left or to the right of my handlebars, I'm ending up in a completely different destination over time. Our decisions create our destiny. So it's important to have good decisions. The next is a physical frame. That's our mental and physical well-being. You got to take good care of your mental and physical well-being. 1 crack in my bike frame, I'm on the side of the road watching everybody else go through life.
Mm.
The next is the pedals. Those are our desires. The stronger the vibrational frequency of our desires, the more power I'm going to put to my pedals, the further I'm going to go in life. What do you want? The next is the chain. Those are our daily actions. Those have to be in alignment with my desires. It's like me saying I want to be physically healthy or financially free, but my daily actions aren't in alignment. I'm not going anywhere. The next is the gears. Successful people know when to switch gears at the appropriate time. The gear that I'm on this podcast is not the gear that I should be at when I'm speaking, or when I'm with a client or with my family. You got to know when to switch gears, and you have to have the foresight to see what's coming down the road of life so that you can get in the appropriate gear and maximize your efforts. You got to know when to switch gears. The next is the wheel. That's our support system. At any given time, 230 pounds was resting on one spoke. And in life, you're going to have to rely on one or two people. So you got to have a good, strong support system around you. Next is the tires. Those are filled with inspiration and motivation. Now, on a 500-mile ride, you had to fill up your tires daily. Because if you ever tried to ride a bicycle on flat tires, it's really hard to do. Next is the seat. You're going to have to support yourself. There may come a time where you're the only person that believes in your dreams. You're going to have to support yourself. You're going to have to stand on your own seat. Next is the water bottles. What's in your water bottles? Are they filled with anger and resentment and fear? Are they filled with love and optimism and hope? What are you drinking to replenish your spirit?
Yeah.
Lastly is the brakes.
Mm.
In life, everything is subject to the law of rhythm. Sun goes up, sun comes down. Tide goes out, tide comes in. Everything is subject to the law of rhythm, even you. Sometimes you're going uphill, sometimes you're coasting back down. On those downhills, it's important to use your brakes, man. Slow down. Take in the views and enjoy the ride. We get so fixated on getting to the destination that we completely miss the entire journey.
Yeah. Huge.
And life is so beautiful at 8 miles an hour, brother.
Yeah. That's such a great analogy. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. You know, that's the whole story right there, you know?
And I rode 500 miles to get that story.
Yeah. Um, well, that's what it took. Sometimes we have to go through a whole bunch of stuff before we come out on the other side and realize, wow, this is what it meant, you know, and it could be just a metaphor for life. You know, what I think is so important, what holds everything up there is those spokes. That is probably the most important factor. You know, you can take one away, you might be able to take two away. You start taking those support systems away, eventually the whole thing is going to break down. And like you said, sometimes you're leaning on one person in your life, and you need to have that person you build that relationship, that bond. For me, it's my wife, and you know, she's such a powerful force in my life. And you know, for a long time, the relationship wasn't very good for us for a lot of years. Now we have probably one of the best relationships that you could have. But I'd say if you're with your wife, your husband, whoever you're with, you need to work, grow that relationship and make it as strong as possible, because that person is going to be the one person that gets you through the hardest times. You need to lift them up. You need to hold them up. So I feel that it's super important to have that strength and that bond and that relationship with your significant other. I work really hard on trying to make that one of my top priorities, if not my top priority, is making sure that I have that great relationship with my wife. So,
Beautiful.
well, Wesley, I think got a lot of stuff there.
Oh, wow. That's great. Yeah, this has been amazing, man.
Yeah, yeah, it has been, man. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And if people are wanting to find you, where can you be found? I know you've got a lot of resources out there. So let's.
Yeah, all the social media sites. My name is Wesley, Westley, Morris, Morris. WesleyMorris.com. You could check out my website or just call me 610-554-5533.
Okay. And you have just Wesley Morris Inspires, right?
Yeah, Wesley Morris Inspires on Instagram. Wesley Morris Inspires on TikTok. Wesley Morris on YouTube, and Wesley Morris on Facebook.
All right, Wesley, it's been great talking to you, and we'll talk again soon. And I look forward to having you on another podcast. Um, not too far down the road. So
Let's hold the vision of us speaking together.
yes, yes, I would definitely like to be at an event with you. And I just got off the phone this morning, or off the meeting with my team, and it looks like we're going to be trying to host an event in Colorado sometime spring or early summer, probably sometime late spring. And I'd love to have
Wow.
you come. I'd love to have you come. So I will let
Wow.
you know. And so we're just putting it out there. We're maybe around May or something. So
Outstanding.
looking to put something
Outstanding.
together. Yes. I look forward
All
to
right, brother.
hanging out with you again in person. And
Yeah.
so till next time, I'm Damon Nichols with Wesley Morris, and this is the Breakout Podcast, and we'll see you guys around. Talk to you later.
Keep peddling. Appreciate it.